Hi, my name's Haley. I'm doing side A to environmental considerations, must take precedent over economic development considerations. Um, Personally, I just think the stakes are simply too high for environment to not take precedent over economic development. The pace of global economic growth in the past years has led to a significant decline in the availability of natural resources. A decline in sources of oil, coal, gas, loss of fishing stocks due to overfishing, major losses of species and diversity of species directly due to decline in natural resources and just overall pollution. It's led to species extinction. Um, uh, I just wanted to go over a couple of examples of environmental losses due to economic development. The first one I wanted to go over was pollution. More specifically, the quality of air. Large companies have been restricted in the amount of fossil fuels they can burn due to the Clean Air Act. And since this has made a huge positive impact towards the environment, but has slightly decreased the level of productivity that the business might have, although these are measures that we have to take in order to sustain our environment. Another one that I wanted to touch on was damages to natures. Basically, the most present damages that I can think of are air, water, and land pollution. This will just cause health problems. They can it's an issue of productivity in land and in water. Another issue would be global warming. Global warming has led to rising sea levels, an increase of volatile weather patterns, and trying to help reduce the loss or trying to help with the rising sea levels, which has naturally caused people to have to move homes, loss of land, property, relocation, etc. The costs of trying to help with those matters are astronomical. Another subject that I wanted to touch on was soil erosion. Due to deforestation from economic development, it has damaged a lot of the soils, making areas more prone to drought. And then once again, I also wanted to touch on the loss of biodiversity. Economic growth has led to resource depletion and the loss of biodiversity overall. So an increase of economic development has also led to a really high increase of plastic waste, which, as we know, does not degrade, and this will lead to an increase of stock of the plastic waste in our seas and our environment, and ultimately will damage more wildlife. So one example that I wanted to use was in recent years, or I guess in the previous years, the United States have been sending a lot of our recyclables to China. They will take it, obviously, and reuse them and make them into new products for us. However, in recent years, China has put restrictions on the type and the quantity of recyclables that they will allow. And these recyclables are paper, like junk mail, magazines, and a number of plastics. So the options that the United States was given is to use an outside company and pay a higher fee to recycle these goods, and or to just do away with it and not recycle. A lot of researchers have said that the United States can just simply not afford to send these recyclables to other countries, and so they have just somewhat done away with a lot of the recycling, which at this point our environment just can't really afford that at this stage. Um, and then lastly, I wanted to just talk about how we need to sustain the environment and how this is key. And then hopefully, when we take more measures into sustaining the environment, we can then take measures on repairing the damages that we have already caused the environment. So some things that could potentially help are shifts in renewable resources, and also limiting the consumption of non-renewable resources. This is something that we already have started to do, but we need to do at a larger scale. Also protecting the health of our ecosystems that we have left, and just doing our best not to damage the ones that we have, and just trying to grow them would ultimately be the best case scenario. An easy one to do, at least personally, is avoiding pollution, just doing your part and making sure that we can just avoid it at all costs. I mean, it's a little bit challenging, but you can definitely do your part. Also, we should be targeting the welfare of the environment and not GDP. The environment just needs to come first, in order to sustain our livelihood, in order to sustain future generations. Without the environment, we will really have nothing. There will be nothing. And then, just like I mentioned before, just trying to correct the damages that we have already made is the biggest factor, because we can try to prevent, but we need to repair in order to sustain future generations.